One of the things I'm interested in is exploring something that all of you alluded to in one way or another, and that's sort of the personality of the person involved in finance. And I think the general public thinks about the personalities of you guys as being objective, pretty tough, unemotional. All of those are things you think of as connected with other professions. But in fact, it sounds to me like there is a great deal of emotion and a tremendous amount of the ability to read other people and read behavior. Can you talk to that issue? Is that a relevant question? What's the personality that makes a good investment decision maker?
I have a good story there, and I don't know if this, I think this fits right. And I've always argued that one of the successful things that I have done for our own investments, I'm talking about our personal investments, is the greatest thing that I have going for me is that I go over everybody else's investments and decide on changes I want to make for everybody else's investments, which I can do in a very unemotional way. And then the order of the day is that I do exactly the same thing with my own stuff. So I get the unemotional treatment on my own investments because I'm going over everybody else's. If left in isolation, if I were only going to look at my own stuff and try to make decisions, I think everybody out there realizes that we all get caught up in emotional things. And so I would be my own worst enemy if left to myself.
It's very interesting. Do you guys have additions?
Yeah, I mean,
to that?
it's, when I started Merrill Lynch 13 years ago, after about 2 years, you think you know it pretty good. And I did the same thing. So you have this mentality where you're doing this stuff for clients, but you're kind of doing that, but you're going to do a little other thing, on the side here because you think it's like you're going to buy Royal Caribbean stock. This is one I remember. And I remember I just was trending and all this stuff. And you know what? At the end of the day, you lose money on it, just like we had talked about. And I think that was one of the biggest things that I did as well. And notice that you start making money when you
Start following them.
when you start taking your own advice.
And quit being emotional.
I think, Alan, it's impossible to be completely cold as ice on the investment front. There's another advisor was telling me a study was done saying that advisors are even more biased than regular investors. Mm-hmm. And so I think that if you go inside our investment committee room, one thing that you identify one thing that we're trying to track is the trend. Okay, where is the old analogy or the saying, Gretzky, where is the puck going to be? Skate to where the puck's going to be, not to where it is right now. Because that goes back into the media thing and all the day-to-day activity, because you can drive yourself crazy. But in the long term, this Goldman Sachs thing today may make a lot of sense. It may have a big impact and it may not. But we're looking more importantly is how does it affect the trend?
Overall trend.
Overall trend.
Mm-hmm. And then on a one-on-one, on a client level, we're talking about emotions that are involved in decision making. We're typically, investment selection can often in a firm like ours, we're working to develop an investment portfolio that works best for the unique circumstances and situation for a particular client. And we need to, as advisors, understand on an emotional level what their priorities are, what their different needs might be. You might have a client that, for a variety of reasons needs liquidity. Most of our clients do. And we're very mindful of that. You might have another client that needs income. You might have another client that has assets invested outside of RS-CRUM for some other reason that's in some other type of asset where we're always trying to make sure that we understand what their needs are with how we build their portfolio.
The whole picture.
The whole picture. And so we're not just making investment selection in this emotionless vacuum. We are indeed considering what the client's needs are as we put together their portfolios and as we modify them. That's the other part, is that the emotions go up and down while the markets also change. And so one of the things that we don't try to do, that we force each other to do with the way that we're set up here is continue to monitor the dynamics that are going on outside, the dynamics that are going on a client-specific level, and then we're really the buffer between the two, and our experience allows us to pick investments that typically match up very well with our clients.